Hey, everybody. How about this? What does it take to become a great salesperson? Or who are the great salespeople that you know? That is a question I posed on LinkedIn, and I got a bunch of people tagged, and we have one of those people on the show today. I think you're really going to enjoy this and start to see some patterns. I'll sum them up at the end, but I think the key one is owning it. There's a lot of opportunities in sales to deflect it, to blame pretty much everything and everybody but ourselves. But that doesn't serve us. That doesn't get us what we want. Once we own it, then we can at least start working on it, fixing it, becoming better at it. And today, the sales rep is 100% commission. Pretty scary, huh? I remember when I did that, when you go from a nice, cushy base salary, of which I had one, to starting your own business or working in a 100% commission business as an agent, it's scary because if you don't get the check, nothing's coming in, so you pay out of savings. So your focus becomes pretty clear. And we even talk about that in this, and that sometimes your base salary can be too distracting. Companies should give them in certain cases if they want you to do certain things. Show up in an office at a certain time, fill out a bunch of forms, CRM, go to meetings. But what I see happening a lot in sales today is that people start thinking like employees. Yeah, you are an employee, so I guess you should to a certain extent. The mindset that I see is the most successful is that of a salespreneur. Yes, you're an employee, but you're also an entrepreneur in the sense that minimum half of your income is based off of your performance, hopefully more. So you should be thinking like you work for yourself, which you do. Yes, one of your biggest customers is your company. But what I hear when I talk to reps, it's all like they're working at McDonald's. Oh, it's all about their manager and the structure. And well, okay, yeah, we got to do that. But we also got to sell something because that's how you get paid. And we get into this misconception that, if we don't sell anything, we still have a job. Well, hate to tell it, yeah. You're going to find out you're probably not going to have a job because they're not going to treat you like an employee if you don't sell. So I don't mean to be too brutal here. I just mean to be honest. Because once you make that mindset shift, all of a sudden things start to make sense. Things start to become clearer. Your priorities become set and your success becomes your own instead of your territory, the leads, your luck, your manager likes you or doesn't like you. We got to own it. Okay, when I get into the interview, make sure you're here to the end. I'll give everybody an update on the courses, especially this time of the year. It's critical. This is the money time. This is the money quarter. This is what we've been working for the whole year. So if you're not maximizing it, guess what? Not only do you not get the revenue and the commission on it, you're going to get the quota for it next year. So you got to maximize it. So I got a whole idea and program for the now until the end of the year for everybody who's in the course. So listen up for it. Also, make sure you're checking out video emails. It has been a game changer this year and continues to be. Try it. See if you like it. I think you will. It is one of the ways of connecting with other people. All the stuff I've been telling you about. You got to do it. You got to, text email is so 2018. Let's go. Let's get in the interview. Hey, Samantha, thanks for joining us today as a way of getting started. Tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Samantha. I work for Heartland Payment Systems, so I do human capital management, which means employee management, HR, payroll, stuff like that. Live in North Carolina. I've been in my industry for about 8 years now, and love what I do.
Cool. Is that an easy job?
No. Is any sales job easy? No. A lot of discipline, definitely.
Yeah. So. And who do you sell to within the company?
Small, medium businesses, anywhere, businesses that have clients, employees that are started just one person all the way up to around 250. That's the range that I focus on. But yeah, lots of small businesses. I have a lot of clients that have about, we'll say 20 to 30 employees, kind of hang around there.
Yeah. And how do you find it? Is it, or what's the hardest part about it for you?
So that's kind of a twofold question. I used to work for a competitor for a while. And in that role, it was really different. It's like a lot of my competitors. They have a base salary, get nice commission pops, high five on the way out the door. Where I work now, I work kind of like an insurance agent in that I earn residuals. So my client retention is really, really important to me.
Yeah.
And that makes it really tough. I don't get supplied lists or leads or anything like that. So it's really, feet on the ground, trying to build relationships more than anything else. I think that we all have a lot of competitors. I've got at least 20 I can name. So
Sure.
What makes me different, I think, is the relationship aspect of it. And where I work now with Heartland, this company has really allowed me to focus on the relationship side, relationship selling, story-based selling. I really like that a lot. I'm a people pleaser myself. So this works a lot better for me, and I can really run my own show, but it takes a lot of discipline. So, yeah.
And people say relationships, but what does that mean to you?
So I really love my clients, and I think that can hurt me sometimes. It can be a bit of a detriment because I care so much and I get really emotionally invested with them, and I become very good friends with a lot of my clients. But that's because I want them to think of me. I mean, I know I've got, again, a bunch of competitors knocking on the door, especially as we go into fourth quarter here. But I want my name to be the one that they think of when they're happy, when they have an issue, whatever it is. I take great pride in having me be that person. And not every company is structured in that way such that we can allow that to happen. But relationships for me, and you're right, everybody does say it, but relationships, it takes time. I think that's a big piece of what I've had to teach myself in my career, is that this is meant for longevity. So if I'm just a transactional salesperson, that's fine. I might, get a few deals here and there, but I think it so much comes down to trust. And so if I'm taking my time to really build those relationships, they're eventually going to reach back out to me, and I'm not going to have to keep being that stalker, annoying salesperson that we all know.
Yeah.
I mean, I just had a client reach out who I've been in communication with for 5 years, but now the time is right. And so I think that a lot of sales reps, we see turnover, and we see people leaving and quitting, and you've got to focus on that end goal. And that's really hard to do sometimes.
It is. And do you have a fixed territory, or is it?
I don't. I'm so lucky. At where I used to work, I did. And now I cover all 50 states. So I've got clients. I've got clients all over the place: Pennsylvania, Colorado, Virginia, West Virginia, South Carolina, California. So it's really fun. But I've worked my tail off.
And so how do you focus then?
So I used to be a rower for a very long time. I was recruited to college, did that, rowed on the national team, and that taught me a lot about discipline. So how I do it is routine. And I was really a kind of, I don't know if I was just being stubborn, 7 or 8 years ago or whatever. But when I first got into this role in this career with human capital management, I didn't necessarily have the discipline that I needed. I thought it was just motivation and that'll get you through. And that's not realistic. So for me, I learned a lot about discipline as a rower, waking up at 4:30, having that schedule set, making sure, I try to front load my days. I really like to be done with my meetings by, we'll say 3:00, so that from 3 to 5, I've got time to answer the phone calls and do the admin stuff. So to answer your question, I think discipline really is a big part of it, especially on days when it's gross out and it's cold, and I work from home, so I could stay in bed all day, but I'm not going to pay my bills if I do that.
So. Clicking away.
Yeah. So discipline, I think it would be my answer for that.
But how about prioritization when you have 50, have an open territory?
Yes. And I pride myself as well in answering the phone somewhat on an operational level sometimes to be able to just expedite things faster for my clients. So everything is in my calendar. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. So that's one of the ways that I help to keep myself organized. But in terms of prioritizing things, of course, I want the sales, I want to close deals, I want to hit the goals that I've set for myself. But one of my priorities as well is always having my phone on me, being able to answer that phone, and really act as a resource for everybody around me. It's not, I mean, we're all trying to make money and close deals and stuff, but I really believe on surrounding myself with the right people, positive people, successful people. I really like working with women because I think that we're, kind of on the rise. There's a lot of, especially in the insurance industry, there's a lot of guys. And so I really like seeing women that are stepping up into this industry and really being very bold. So I try to surround myself with people who have built their businesses up to the level that I want to be at. And I ask them for help and I ask them for mentorship. And I think coming from that angle is a lot better than, maybe you'll go visit a networking group or something and just pitch your services and that's it. They're going to ask you to leave if you do that. So and I'm very lucky to be a part of an awesome networking group where we really hold each other accountable. So prioritizing, I think my clients are always going to come first. I want my numbers to be great, but more than that, I really want my clients to stay with me. So that's a big priority for me, is making sure that my current clientele is very happy. I don't just check in once a year. That I'd lose all my clients if I did that.
Yeah. And do you segment that? Like Mondays you do certain things, Tuesdays?
Yeah. So kind of depends where I am. I live in the Chapel Hill area of
Beautiful,
North Carolina. Yeah, I love it here. But Wednesdays I have my BNI group. So that's a Raleigh day for me. So I know that Wednesdays I'm trying to schedule meetings with clients that I specifically have in that area, and also CPAs, bookkeepers, if I'm out that way. I'll usually do once a month. I send out blast emails to specific groups of people that I think really help me and folks that I align very well with. So I send out a lot of educational stuff once a month to accountants and CPAs, and also to my insurance agents that I partner with a lot. So I try to do those types of drops or touches once a month. I really like being able to go into places physically because I think there's something to be said for, the energy that you can share with people. So I do a lot of driving. Put a lot of miles on my car, come out to Charlotte about once a month as well. So I'd say once a month I try to do those drops, those touches with my centers of influence. And then every 2 weeks I'm looking to always add, and I'm asking for either an insurance partner or a bookkeeper or something like that, people that are having similar conversations as me. And then Fridays for me, I work the whole day on Friday, but I really try to make sure that I'm preparing for Monday, because I get the Sunday scaries and we get very anxious and all that type of stuff. So I try to make Friday a day where I'm preparing for the week ahead. And my leadership does a great job of helping us to kind of prep for that week and make sure we're all staying focused.
And as growing as a salesperson, did you have particular milestones or epiphanies where you just you went from frustrated to a next level of getting it?
Yes. It was about really being honest with myself. I kind of had, I had a day, it was last February. I remember my boss was in town and I had 11 presentations, 11 in a row, and I didn't close one of them. I was like, I'm in tears. I mean, it was horrible. And so I had to sit down with myself and say, are you actually really working from 8 to 5 right now? Yeah. Or are you stopping at 3 o'clock and getting a coffee and going home a little bit early and whatever? That's what helped me. So when I actually was really honest with myself, that's what helped. Because again, I came from a place where I was earning a salary every 2 weeks and you become complacent. So even though I think I'm working a lot harder than I did when I worked for my competitor, it's because of the way that it's structured. Yeah. So I'm a fan of not having a base. It's a scary thing. Doesn't work for everybody. But for me, that's first and foremost. So it's constant. It's really constant, but it was,
yeah, I think that epiphany is good because you start thinking like what I call a salespreneur. Like even if you have a base, it's a false sense of security.
Yes.
Because, you get 9 months to prove yourself, right? And you think you're an employee and maybe you've been there for years, but guess what? If you don't produce, you're pretty much an entrepreneur.
Right. And I think you see a lot of the turnover you see, I find tends to be somebody jumping from higher base salary to higher base salary. And that, I mean, like it was scary to come over to Heartland because I stepped away from a lot. I stepped away from a lot of money. I had just bought my first home. I mean,
Right.
a lot of things happened, but at the end of the day, it really truly is up to me. And so if I'm not the one reaching out to my centers of influence, and if I'm the one who's quitting after just a week of getting no's, you're going to get no's all day. I mean, I've had bosses tell me, aim for no, try to get as many as you can, because then that takes the pressure off. You expect you're going to get a no, so maybe you'll get a yes, but it's that consistency, it's the discipline. And when I was really honest with myself, it was a hard moment, but I think that when I shifted to the company I'm at now, you really got to do things differently. And I wish I'd had that moment when I worked at my competitor, kind of realizing it, but it just wasn't structured that way. So
Yeah.
I think if you really focus on, it's on you at the end of the day, it really is on you. You can have people help you a great deal. And I love my partners, my, not just referral partners, but people that really help to keep my energy positive and forward thinking, all that stuff. That part's important, but it comes down to me at the end of the day. And that can be a really hard thing to face and be honest with yourself about.
That's it, because when you're an employee, there's a lot of focus on efficiency instead of effectiveness.
Yeah.
Because when I heard about that 11 presentation day, I've worked with people who were into that. How many meetings can I have a day? And It's like, well, you don't get paid on meetings.
Yeah.
You get paid on deals.
Yeah.
Are any of those 11 in market?
Yeah.
Are they beyond aware of what you do?
And it's also being aware of myself. I'm rereading Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that's really, I recommend that for anybody and everybody. Really helping me to reevaluate and remind myself I'm the one that holds myself accountable. It only comes down to me. So I didn't used to read that many sales books. I used to watch a lot of TV and go home, watch movies and like try to whatever. But now I've kind of limited that stuff, and I really do enjoy reading, and it does keep you fresh. So I think that the best salespeople and the ones that do really well are the ones that are constantly educating themselves, always trying to be better. Because once you become complacent, someone else is going to take your spot.
Right. It's too easy to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And avoid the things that we should be doing. We know we should be doing.
Right.
And what have you seen as kind of differentiating you from a lot of people who aren't as successful?
I work a lot. I answer my phone, after hours. I think that's part of being an entrepreneur as well. And in today's society, we're a very, I want it now type of society. So I don't let things fall through the cracks, but I do try to move pretty quickly in terms of responding to my folks. Resiliency is also a big thing. Like I said before, you see a lot of turnover because you're either not resilient or you don't have that end goal in mind. So I think when it comes to my competitors and, people who I might be able to rise above, it's because of that. It's because of that internal battle sometimes that I have with myself, but the discipline that comes from the inside, and then also the support that I choose to give myself on the outside.
Yeah. And do you have mentors within your?
Oh yeah.
You
do? Definitely. My boss really is not trying to be that way, but he's really great. And he really understands. He always starts at being curious, so he's an amazing mentor for me where other bosses in past companies, I would get phone calls from them and have a panic attack because it was my boss. Yeah. Whereas here, I really always look forward to speaking with him. I have people that work for other companies, very, very different industries, but because they're as successful as they are, I ask them to be my mentors and I ask them for help and advice. And so I kind of have chosen my group of people around me, and they tend to be very experienced folks who have been in their industry for at least 20 years. And I feel really lucky that they've taken me under their wing, but I actively ask for that mentorship.
That's a big difference. And I think that is a key differentiator between the good and the great salespeople, because since it's a performance, you can't see yourself perform.
Yeah.
You have to get the feedback from other people. And I see in your background, the coaching part, even in rowing, which is really a grit-oriented sport, right? It's
Yeah.
not a grace
Yeah.
oriented. It's not gymnastics, right?
Well, it looks beautiful, but
It
to
does, yeah.
actually do it, it's
A lot
yeah.
of work.
Definitely.
Yeah, I had a friend who wanted to get a scholarship. I go, it's really just labor, isn't it?
Well, I mean, a lot of people ask me how I got into rowing, and it truly was, I have a great relationship with my parents. I love them very, very much, but financially we were raised a little bit of a different way. So I knew that it was on me to pay my way through college.
Yeah.
So I started rowing in 8th grade, and then I just got, recruited to a bunch of schools. So that was how I started my journey there. But I've always been that way. If I want something, I'm going to do it myself, even if it takes me a little bit longer. But that's the part I have to remind myself of, that you got to stay with it.
And how do you manage kind of the what I call the roller coaster of sales? You have a good day, and then somebody calls and cancels, and then you have a bad day and
chargeback. Those are really fun.
Going backwards.
Going to my people, I've got a great coworker who I talk to at least 3 times a day, every single day. We bounce things off of each other, and the mentors that I've chosen to kind of have in my life, I'm really transparent with them. They know that I can be really invested in my clients. And then when I get told no, or I lose a deal and it stinks, I will tend to jump, because I'm very emotional. And I'm so grateful to have those mentors in place, because they always remind me, let's talk about it. It sucks, but let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what's going on. And if you lose them, you lose them. But let me try to help motivate you and whatever, to go find 3 more people that now you can forget about that and move on. Because that's where I do get held up a lot. I used to chase the same 5 people and why?
Right.
So I constantly have to teach myself that, to kind of distract and move on. Keep them on your list. I'm going to reach back out in 6 months, because that's what we should do. But for the time being, if it's not right for them, not necessarily that I did something wrong, it may just not be right for them, or bad luck, or whatever happens. But if you can move on, that's the most important part. So during those dips, sometimes I do let myself, take the afternoon and kind of restructure and think about things. But for the most part, it's reaching out to those people when I'm feeling really low, because I think any salesperson can agree it is a roller coaster. It can get really low, but I think it's what you do to be resilient and bring yourself out of that and move on.
And I think that the key point I heard there was talking to other people, but not water cooler talk, not explaining how bad and impossible this is.
Right. And the coworker who I had mentioned, I love her, because we're really good at calling each other out. We'll have these, moments of, oh, this stinks and whatever. And then we'll both be like, hold on. I can feel it. I can feel it getting dark and getting deep.
Yeah.
Switch it. Talk to me about what you're working on today. Let's talk about something else. So I feel lucky that I can do that, because in the beginning, so you got to take what you can get. But now I'm being a little bit more direct with people in terms of, these are the types of businesses I want to go after, and here's why, because I really feel like I can help them specifically. So that's where I want to go from here, is just being able to keep doing this and expand across the country. And of course, I would love to be able to say I've got a client in every single state. So just trying to stay consistent and keep going.
Is this the type of business you can build a team under you, or is it always going to be an individual contributor?
I could if I wanted to. And I love that they have that option. But I think for me, if I get to that point one day where I want to have people underneath me, that's great. And I have that option. But it's really exciting to be on my own journey, and it's a lot to hold yourself accountable. To think about managing other people right now where I'm at, I don't think it's the right fit for me, but I would love to, once I kind of even out with my stuff, be able to then have the time to help other people. But coaching rowing, I mean, that was a huge part of my life, and I love it. I love coaching. I'm so passionate about it. So.
Yeah. And do you still row as a way of exercise?
I go out on the water when I can. It's it's tough when you're working. So I used to be coaching, I guess what you would consider full-time for a coach. I'm not at that level anymore, just because when I came over here, I really put everything into this. So I go out for fun. I help people with coaching when they need it. I actually coach at Raleigh CrossFit from time to time, helping those guys learn how to use the rowing machine. So it's still in my life. And I'm hoping that, in 10 years or so, I'll be able to actually start my own improve. So that would be fun.
Yeah. And is this the type of business that does compound as opposed to the employee where it gets reset every year?
Oh yeah. Our pay plan hasn't changed since 1999, I don't think. So, so we have goals, but it's really, really nice. Cause again, where I came from a world where it changed every year. And I love your videos when you joke about that. So, oh, you're making money? No, you got to bring it back down. Okay. But so we don't, I feel lucky that it's uncapped. So it's the more clients I have, the higher my residuals are every month. So I want my book to be filled, of course, but really filled with people that care and that want to connect with me. I wasted a lot of time going after people that
don't care.
It's just money. Are you cheaper? And if that's the type of person that I'm working with, we're not going to be a good fit. It may not even be worth having a conversation. I'll tell you to stay where you're at. If you really want to work with someone who values what she does and works very hard, answers her phone, and you want to have that relationship, then we should talk. But I think a big piece is knowing your audience and knowing, all right, maybe that sounded like a good idea. They're not interested. What else am I going to fill this with? I'm not going to let this ruin the rest of my day. How am I going to fill this with 5 brand new people that I can now go talk to and share my energy with? So
I think that's critical because I think too many people spread the net way too wide.
Yeah.
If you find, okay, I fit this group of people, let me find, because that group of people is still huge.
Right.
They value the service. They value someone who's going to be there, expedite it. They're not looking to save $1 here, $1 there.
Right.
Because not saving anything because they're.
Oh, it's always expensive to be cheap in the end.
It always is in every way. Now, if you were to start your sales career all over, what would you done differently?
Found my mentors more early on and also pulled away from that culture of just ultra competitive sales. I think there's something to be said for challenging yourself, but if you allow yourself, or if you're in an environment where it's in the office and the water cooler stuff, I'm very lucky I don't have an office that I go into, so it helps me a lot, but I'm very independent. And so for some people, they need that office. But for me, if I had to start over again, it would be finding my mentors earlier and not being afraid to ask for help earlier, because I was terrified. And then something happened when I turned 30 that was like, you know what, if you want this to happen, you need to actually ask for help. It's not, one of the most successful people I know who, gosh, I mean, I aspire to be like this guy. He always says, and these things take time, Samantha. It takes time. I have a beach house because I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm like, well, I want a beach house. But so now my goal, that's one of my goals. So I keep them on my bathroom mirror. It looked like a psycho if you saw my bathroom, but I've got stuff written all over the mirror because I need to see that every day. So yeah, I think just consistency, discipline, all that stuff, but finding my mentors earlier and really figuring out my process and identifying good clients, good prospects, people that I should be going after versus chasing. I spent a lot of my first few years chasing, and I wish I hadn't done that.
Right. And I bet in your business, it's how do you manage it from not being 100% service, meaning, people have issues that could take up your whole day.
Yes. And I struggle with that a lot. And I'm one of, I don't know how many reps do this, but I do know that I spend a lot of time servicing, and I have a great team of people behind me that do that sit behind the computers and do the payroll, but I'm there. They know my phone number. So if they send me a text or they call me, I am going to expedite it and I am going to take care of it. And that's going to become my priority, usually that moment. So it's a balance. Again, I have a great service team, but I don't know, again, being 2019, being an entrepreneur, whatever you want to say, it's that instant gratification. So even if I can't solve your problem that day, my clients know and have faith that I will solve it by the time frame I've told them I'll solve it. Yeah. So just being able to do that, but it's such a balance with the service, and I struggle with that a lot. So I guess I could probably have maybe one more deal a month or something if I let go of some of that, day-to-day service stuff. But the way that I see it is I'd rather spend my time helping them because they might know someone. So then I have the opportunity to do a good job. And then later you can ask, hey, if you've been happy with me. Do you know those guys up the street? Or, who else do you think would really, really like working with me? So I'd rather do it that way. And people are going to give you different answers for that, but I'm a lot more focused on, I got to keep my clients. So I do have to do a lot with service, and I choose to do that. So.
Okay. And for those people who are listening and could use your service, how would they get in touch with you?
Definitely. So I'm on LinkedIn, Samantha, and last name's a little tricky because it's French, but Chauveau. I'm not on Facebook because I used to be, but I found that to be a bit of a distraction for me, actually. So I'm not on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My username is Coaching Problems on Instagram. But yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best way to get up with me.
I heard a lot of good things in that interview. The desire for mentorship and staying away from the water cooler crowd, because the whining never solves anything. It makes you feel better for a few minutes, but it tends to reinforce a mindset that doesn't really enable you. The other thing, the rowing and the coaching of rowing, that when you see something like that, because that's an early morning sport, and especially when you're doing it in high school and college, where I remember liking to sleep in. And I was a runner, and I grew up in New England, and you get up in those fall and winter mornings, and then go out and run in those hilly cricket roads, not flat surfaces with ice and snow everywhere. You tend to build up some grit, some resilience. And I think that is important in sales, because until we become really good at it and aware of how good we can become at it, we're going to get a lot of rejection. And that mentoring, where somebody can just, shift the udder just a little bit and get us back on track, show us what we're doing wrong, get our form right, have our focus right, have our mindset right. That takes a little bit of putting the ego aside. And the people who can do that, it's one of the major differences, because geniuses learn from others' mistakes. Just mere mortals learn from their own mistakes. If you can learn from other people's mistakes, you're going to save years. And this is something that is hard to do, because you have to admit you made a mistake. Or someone else, you see somebody else, and you're like, oh, they might know something more than me. The old saying, the teacher will appear when the student is ready. So as students, and we're all students, sales is not an arrival destination. It's a performance profession. It's not a quiz show. And when I use the word performance, people think like acting, singing, comedy. It's not like you're up on stage, even though sometimes we are, but it's how well you do it. You can know all the answers. You can take all the steps. You can accomplish all the objectives, and they still don't buy. And in sales, they buy from 0 people or 1 person. They're not going to buy from 2. There's no silver medal in sales. So it is a performance profession, how well we do it. And the judge or judges is our clients. And they don't hold up cards. They're not holding up 9.7, Brian. They're smiling and nodding and telling you what you want to hear, so they get what they want, because they're people. And then when the meeting ends, you shake hands, you're out in the parking lot, they go and have a meeting, and they flip-flop like crazy. I put out a video on LinkedIn about this where, I pretend I'm the sales rep and I did all the right steps, and I didn't get the deal. And of course, some CEO goes, well, you should have asked what happened at that step. And I go, we're dealing with people. How many times do you flip-flop on what you're going to have for dinner? How hard is it? You want lunch? You want Chinese food or a salad? You could flip-flop back and forth all the time. You don't think our clients are doing this with $100,000, $1 million decisions? You want a Gulfstream or you want NetJets? Of course they are. And it's up to us to try and guide and control that, to have them understand the value of it and keep the performance moving. Too many of us, we looking at sales the wrong way. We think that we just do the job and we get the order. We help the client out and we build trust and rapport. It's 1,000 little things performed in a perfect harmony. And the word perfect is misleading, meaning that it can become perfect. Maybe in gymnastics or figure skating, you can get a 5.0 or a 10.0, whatever they call it. But in sales, one person wins. The rest lose. And are you really going to tell me that they didn't cover their bases, that they didn't take the right steps, that they didn't work just as hard as you? That performance, that little difference, is the difference between the commission check and a big goose egg. Let's move on to the courses. Okay, for the rest of the year, I'm going to include all the office hours and the one-on-ones, unlimited. I'm going to be blocking out lots of time between now and the end of the year to do as much deal coaching as I possibly can to get you into the accounts you want to get into and close the deals that you have before the end of the year. This is the time that companies spend money. If you're telling me you don't have time to make money, you're in the wrong profession. Sorry. Go to service, go to marketing. They have openings. They pay 1/3 of what you make, but they do have openings. So shipping and receiving's hiring as well. In sales, it's all about the deal, closing it, and owning that performance, and not giving up for 1 second that you can't do better every day. Every sales call is performance. Every email is a performance. Every presentation demo, every stupid proposal you send out is a performance. And when I hear these webinars by marketing people on YouTube and on LinkedIn, and I hear what they say, I go, they are so far behind. They do not know how companies buy. Account planning, oh God, they're kids with like 7 years of sales experience who don't understand the complex sale. They're on the outside guessing what's going on the inside. I teach you what's going on the inside because most of my career was old school, on-prem, flying out, being there, sitting in the company office during the proof of concept, getting to know everybody. I learned how companies buy and how to influence and keep direction, momentum, and control instead of the Hail Mary discount at the end of the quarter. You want to learn that? Join the courses. Go to b2brevenue.com. Pick a time to talk to me. The time is to talk about the courses, not about your career or anything else. If you're not interested in the courses, do not pick a time. We'll talk for 15 minutes. We'll see if it's a match, and then you decide for yourself. I only want the people who want to be in it, who will put the time and energy. How much time? I don't know. Most people, it's about an hour a week. But you have access to it for a year. You can pay all at once or monthly. It's not a membership. It's a year payment plan. And what you'll get out of it is the understanding of how to get into companies and how to close complex sales. And you get to talk to me as much as you like. Imagine that. Such scarcity of my time. I've got funny videos to make. I'll have to put that on the back burner. I got silly podcasts to put out. I'll have to put them on the back burner. My top priority between now and the end of the year is closing deals with you. So sign up today before the prices go up. Okay, what else can you do? You can go to the YouTube channel, check out the YouTuber. You a YouTuber? Maverick Method on YouTube. 2 other podcasts, Sales Questions, Brutally Honest Answers, and the B2B Revenue Leadership Show. Are you checking that out? Are you slacking on your Burns content? Okay, what are you doing? Listening to some marketing person telling you how to sell? Is that what you're doing? Genius. Oh yeah, you moved out of sales into marketing? Brilliant. Oh, Grandpa, what are you doing now? Oh, back in the good old days when it snowed every day. No, let's listen to what's working today. The brutal truth.